Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Well, I wonder how new Raiders partial owner Tom Brady will feel.
Is that happening, or is that just still?
Oh no, I think it was confirmed.
Got past the House. Now it's on to the Senate.
I don't care for that.
I don't care for it.
Robert Kraft, if you're listening, you got to swoop in and stop this and make him part of our team.
I don't think
This cannot stand.
This is not
This cannot stand. One of Evan's simulators.
You have a simulator?
No. He simulates the season for the Patriots. This is crap. Like, what are you talking? This is not going to happen. Like, this is, why are we even giving this a time of day if that's what it's going to simulate? Like, no, this thing is crap. It's crap.
Whatever, Evan. I'm going to do it again.
Oh, they did a whole show on it. Him and intern Mike Cadlick, they did an entire show. and whether they this is another thing that Barth and I always argue about. I'm like, just wait till you get a girlfriend, Alex. All right, dressing up. When she says to dress up, you dress up, dude. All right.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Fueled by Duncan.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here at Gillette Stadium, and we didn't expect to be here at this time.
Wasn't even supposed to be here.
Yeah, we thought we were going to be here at 2 after having witnessed our first OTA practice, but Patriots were bad.
They got pinched.
They broke the rules again, and so that's the big news this morning. The Patriots have been docked 2 OTA practices for violating rules. Apparently, they posted the time of a special teams practice, and you're not allowed to do that because it makes it mandatory or something. I don't know.
Somebody felt pressured.
That sounds right, the way you just said it.
Yeah.
I think the fact that it was listed on the schedule made it appear mandatory and not voluntary, which seems a little silly to me.
So you can't have a schedule during OTAs because that would imply that you have to do something. It's just kind of loosey-goosey.
It's kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod. Hey, show up on the field at 2.
Hey,
right?
just so you guys know, we're going to get together after work today and have a drink. But I'm not going to send out an email because then there would be a paper trail.
Right.
That we could get in trouble for.
And
I mean, it kind of seems
be no
like
calendar
that.
invite.
If I send an email, it makes you think that you have to be there for the drink. Yeah. I don't know. I can you just have a header on everything that says these are all optional?
Right.
A legal disclaimer.
It's kind of like our, when we write our stories.
Right.
Yeah. So we have 2 less practices,
7
which
hours, call it
now means
4 hours.
everybody's behind, and your preseason prediction now is out the window because now we're behind 2 practices. So if how many wins you had the Patriots, you have to take 1 off because we're going to be that far behind.
Yeah. I'm annoyed.
Same.
I feel bad. I say at the top, like, it seems like a clerical error, and it does seem kind of dumb and all that. But at the same time, this is not what I want right now. Like, this team missed the playoffs last year. Right. We know how it's ended, the last couple of years, but it's not what you want right now. And I'm sure that they're pissed about it. I mean, I'm sure, not somewhat to losing the practices, but just, for what it was and, maybe more of a miscommunication. I don't know. But overall, just not what they need right now. And I'm also frustrated because I wanted to sit out there and watch some football today, and here we are. Yeah. So,
and we should point out that that was a Mike Florio report for Pro Football Talk. He's the one that is.
Yeah, I pulled it up here. I don't know if
came
I
up
should
with
read
with the wording about the the posting of the. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Why don't you read it?
It just says, per a source with knowledge of the situation, it was a meeting violation. According to the source, an observer from the NFL Players Association believed that one of the optional early season meetings was a violation because the 15-minute meeting in question, a special teams session, was made visible on the internal schedule. In the opinion of the NFLPA, placing the meeting on the formal schedule converted it from optional to mandatory.
Yeah, and just so you know, I want to the last part of that line, the NFLPA deemed it X.
Right.
So this is not one of the long lines of, my God, like they just hate the Patriots. This is the NFLPA.
I wonder if
these are their own players that.
I wonder if there's an appeal process.
I wonder that too.
Can we get him back?
But but I also wonder, is this a player being a pain in the ass, and is this more signs of the guys being like, I don't want to do it this way anymore? Like that worries me too.
I have the same.
It could be, but the use of the word observer versus rep would tell you that it's a third party.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It could be just protecting the player.
I mean, could it be technically any player in the NFLPA? Could you technically be that person?
Well,
anybody, or
I don't know, but they have like team reps. They call them the locker room lawyers.
Yeah.
And sometimes your team rep is a real pain in the ass, and sometimes he's not. So
Yeah, I mean, if Florio's report is accurate, and I have no reason to believe it's not, it seems silly to me to lose 2 practices over writing down that a meeting was to happen instead of just telling everybody a meeting was going to happen.
So, but
that made it less
even when you read what
mandatory.
you read, they made it visible on the schedule.
The schedule.
So, what about all the other things on the schedule?
So just nothing
Why are they
ever-
not
Yeah.
mandatory?
I'd like some
It's
clarification
weird.
on that.
Yeah.
Do you just show
You have
up
a
and-
schedule.
Yeah.
So what?
Like if
I
it
don't-
said lift,
Yeah.
it says lift on the schedule. I mean, I assume there's guys lifting.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how it all works. So
Yeah.
it can seem ridiculous from
I
the
don't-
outside. Maybe it's not ridiculous, but
It is ridiculous.
it seems
I think
it.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like I said, I agree with Mike, and the one concern I would have, and I don't know if it's true, is just if a player, seeing
a
this kind
rat.
of stuff, because and it's I'm not even going to call him a rat. It's just I'm going to be concerned about it because it would be an example or another illustration that not everybody is on the same page.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even like I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not trying to do the whistleblower thing. Like whatever. If it was something they're not supposed to do when someone had a problem with it, I'm not mad at the person who had a problem with it.
Well,
But it's just another indication that it's not not everybody's on the same page.
And if it's a player,
If that's what happened.
right? If it's a player, probably this isn't the first thing he saw, because the first time you'd be like, oh, okay, maybe you mention it to your position coach. Hey, we're not supposed to be doing this, but now
Keep your mouth shut and do what you're told.
when you elevate it to this point, it's like, well,
Was that Joe Jackson?
they're not listening to me. Like I can't see a player the first time they see something elevating it to this level.
Yeah,
So
no,
either
that's-
it's I don't know. We shouldn't speculate.
So anyway,
It's-
that's let's just deal with what we know. They lost 2 OTAs,
And we
one of
lost
them-
a chance
and
to
one of them
see
was
it
today when we
practice.
were supposed to be
Yeah.
able to watch
Yeah,
practice.
that's to me. I'm looking at it selfishly. We lost our chance to see these guys out there.
Yes.
Yep.
So now it'll be next Wednesday and the following Tuesday, and then minicamp will be the next Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah, we
Wednesday. So-
lost the opportunity to say that Malik Cunningham is the next best thing going.
And more importantly, we lost an opportunity to see Evan's head explode off his shoulder.
right.
Oh, it's exploding over this whole thing. Honestly, I'm a little fired up about it because I got to be honest. I think this is ridiculous. I think this is absolutely ridiculous that the league took away 2 practices for a meeting being on a schedule
Right.
in the middle of the off season, which it's all voluntary in across the league.
Right, being here
It's
is
all
voluntary. So then
voluntary.
why can't you have a
So-
schedule?
As long as everybody's here.
Right.
Right.
And it's a 15-minute meeting. This isn't like they sat down for 6 hours and were combing through film and you had
Right.
to be here for it or something like that. And on top of all of that, what I hated most about it is that this is a judgment call. When you turn on practice footage from OTAs and people are tackling people to the ground, there's no judgment call. There's too much contact in the practice, right? This is a judgment call on the NFLPA's part that they believe that this could be perceived as mandatory. Give me
Right.
a break.
How about asking some players, did you think this was mandatory? No. Okay.
Perceived as
Right.
mandatory? And we're just supposed to take your word for that? That they, terrible.
I think all of these things are terrible. You either allow OTAs, and they're a thing, and they're voluntary, or don't.
Right.
Like, I think it's ridiculous that Dallas and Baltimore, just a couple that pop off the top of my head, have lost some of these practices in the past. I think Seattle, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Seattle lost a draft
San
pick.
Fran-
to Evan's point, like, I've been at a million of these spring practices. There are guys getting knocked off their feet all the time. Like, what was Baltimore doing that was any worse than what Cincinnati was doing? Like, I don't know. Like, either allow it or don't allow it.
Yeah.
I mean, then they're not in pads. You can't be in pads. So I get that. But otherwise, if you're in shorts and T-shirts, just let them have
At least
it.
if there's contact, if it happens at practice and there's contact or they're doing something that goes over the line in terms of what
Oklahoma
spring
drill.
practices are meant to be. Oklahoma drills, sure.
In shirts
then
and
that's
shorts.
one thing. This is it's a clerical error. And they took away 2 practices because of the perception that a meeting could be mandatory. And I was talking to Deuce about this earlier. It was like when you were, playing sports growing up and they had captain's practices and you were invited to captain's practices. Were they mandatory? No. If you wanted to be on the team and and contribute to the team,
Right.
you got your butt to captain's practices, even if it was like in the middle of the summer or it was, and I played lacrosse. They were in like January and February, well before the season started. You went to captain's practices. That's what you did. This is what OTAs is. And that's what these types of things are. And so, yeah, if you're, a special teamer or a depth guy that's trying to fight for a 53-man roster spot, you're going to be here. If you're Tom Brady, maybe you're not here all the time. Like that's how these things go, and I just think it's ridiculous.
I just thought it was interesting, and I know that all the other violations were mostly contact, but there were a lot of fines going. I wrote them down of Dallas 2 years in a row, $100K for the coach. 2 years ago, $50K to the coach, $100K to the organization. San Francisco, $50K to the coach, $100K
For what?
For
Contact
at
Yeah.
OTA. So that was what was initially just interesting to me, was there wasn't an immediate report of fine, like that they just lost the practice. I wonder if there is a fine.
I'd expected it to be a fine.
That's what
my guess is. It's like on paper, like you get docked an OTA and that leads to X fine.
Yeah.
So
that would be
seems
my
like-
guess, and we probably won't know about it because they'll bury that.
I mean, I would, based on what it is, though, I think they'd expect at least a $50K to BB and $100K to the organization. I would think. I mean, that's what the kind of going rate is if you screw something up in OTAs.
But I could also see it being less for something on the schedule as opposed to contact.
Right.
Like,
But some of these teams only lost one OTA. Lost one.
Remember the safety a couple of years ago? I think his name was Rashad Baker. We used to call Andy and I used to call him Rashad Baker, the touchdown maker.
On the Patriots?
Yeah, he never made the team.
God, I don't know.
But he was in one of these spring camps.
You got me.
And he was laying dudes out everywhere. I mean, he just every guy that caught a pass ended up on the ground tackled. No pads.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Rodney Harrison.
And for all I know, it was even before the most me. Like it could have been like 09.
Right.
You're
You're talking about like yesterday. I'm like, well, that's
no, I don't know when it was, but he was. I remember Fred. We were talking about him,
And we also had
and we were like, I don't know what constitutes contact at practice, but that's it.
We also had the offensive lineman who
They complained.
Yeah.
One year. I do remember that too.
Yeah.
I forget which one complained, but
And I think he was married to somebody internally for a little bit, and they got divorced.
Cool.
okay,
Soap
Next
opera.
layer.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Now I know who you're talking about at least.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's it, but
I think that was it.
that'll explain his short tenure as a Patriot.
Yeah. All right, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Deuce, you got something to say?
Well, we got a report of another signing. My favorite, Anthony Ferkser. One of my favorite names in the whole NFL to say. You can say it without opening your mouth.
yeah,
Ferkser.
tight end.
Little.
I can't do that.
I thought Evan and I were on the same page of
Yeah.
a little bit. He's played H-back a little bit, a little fullback. He's done some of that stuff. So, I don't know. He could have a chance. I mean, there's just no experience behind those Gesicki and Hunter Henry. Scotty Washington, Sokol, I think they played 9 games combined. So, I mean, he's played some games, most notably
He's
scored
an
a touchdown.
NFL player.
Do you think just an opportunity signing, or do you think maybe he can help us?
I think he's kind of unique. I mean, at least of what they have, and I don't think they have great experience and depth at tight end. I mean, it's I think things get pretty thin if you lose Hunter Henry, which, I mean, he hasn't been the most healthy guy over the last over the course of his career, but I don't know. I think just a good, solid depth signing. Nothing crazy.
They
but,
needed another tight end,
but
I
somebody
think
who
that's-
can go out there and play at an NFL
Where are
level.
we in terms of numbers on the roster?
They'll have to get rid of somebody because, I mean, until D-Max.
That'll be
Gets-
post
yeah.
June 1.
So once
that's
that
coming
gets
up.
then, so they'll probably have to release somebody today, I would guess, to make that move official.
Now, do you think it'll be, I love playing the who will get released game. Will it be someone of somewhat significance like the last one?
No, it'll be the guy who
just.
It'll be the guy who reported the schedule thing.
Fred just brings it full circle.
Matthew
I like
Slater.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be doing this here.
Slate's probably the one that posted it.
Chris Board, Bill would like to see you.
Yeah.
Greatest. You can't find. He said you can't find a weakness in the player. I guess we found the weak. No, I'm just kidding. That's not. We don't know for sure.
I would have some choice words for the whistleblower. So
This guy, not
I'm
afraid.
Be careful.
Not afraid to violate the.
You
the
can't
rules.
have retaliation.
I'm feeling
No
pressured. I'm
retaliation.
feeling like I have to be
did you-
there.
Why are you
Did
using
you do
that
your
voice when
HR
you do it?
training?
Am I the only one that did the course?
Yeah, right.
what a baby.
What voice am I
What
doing?
a baby.
I'm doing the baby voice.
Yeah.
Oh, you poor thing. You had to go to a 15-minute meeting.
And they like,
if there was any element of that, I would agree with Evan and Mike. I think that's troubling.
Yeah,
Especially,
I'm
for a
hopeful it's
meeting?
a review.
For a
I'm
meeting?
hopeful it's an NFLPA review, like Fred said, of
And they had to
the
show
documentation.
the screen, and someone saw the screen,
and someone's like, "What is this?"
Well, they have those screens in the locker room.
because
that has.
well, if they're looking at the schedule,
right? But if
what
the
is
screen's
on there
visible,
that's
there's not-
okay?
I don't think there's a person that comes to every place. They watch video. Of
They
stuff.
do little audits.
That's just what I don't get, though. If it is like they are reviewing the schedule, then what's on the schedule? Like a 15-minute special teams, that's a violation. Like what could be on the schedule then that's not a
but
violation?
it's on the schedule of an optional day.
Like, does it have
So
to be
if
on
you're
there?
here-
That's my point.
you're
The
here
whole day is
yeah.
optional.
Right.
The whole thing is optional.
Your very
How did the whole
existence
thing
in
become
Foxborough is optional.
It's optional. So, like, you know.
How did the whole thing become optional?
Right.
Like Stephon Diggs is not at Bill's OTAs. He's
Wow.
not there.
Right.
Because it's optional.
The only thing I can think
Yeah.
of is maybe the special teams meeting was on a day that wasn't a scheduled OTA. I don't know.
I don't know, because how can anything be on the schedule? Like this,
Right.
it says eat lunch. I feel pressured. I
They
don't want
should
to eat
put
lunch then.
like in parentheses next to every single thing on the optional.
Lunch, optional. Bathroom break.
only if you want to
Mandatory.
eat today.
Right.
Optional.
Oh, boy. All right. Well,
The fun don't stop.
yeah. Otherwise, I know your guy yesterday was on a rant about Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know who that
He
guy
strained
is.
his calf. And
I think he's okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
but he's-
Felger hates
Felger.
Aaron.
Oh,
Felger, are we
yeah.
talking? He
Yeah.
hates Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
At optional OTAs.
Yeah.
I didn't.
That's what makes it worse.
I didn't hear him.
But it was
yesterday.
funny. It is fun. It is like classic Aaron Rodgers, though, in explaining what happened. He kind of threw his trainers under the bus. Yeah, they had us doing this thing on a ball, and I heard it while I was, it's like the thing you made me do hurt me.
Right.
You know?
Right. You made me.
Not
work.
that I haven't been like just doing nothing all off season, and
You made me work.
yeah.
That's what did it.
So that anyway, that's
do you
hopefully
think the odds
hopefully
are?
that continues for the Jets.
If you had
What are
to
the odds?
place odds for it working or not working, and like when I say working, I'm not saying they win the Super Bowl. It works. They
it works.
win.
I would say
They win games. They have a winning record, and they're in the play either in the playoffs or in playoff contention.
It works.
Then it worked.
It worked.
What do you
Yeah.
think the odds are?
I'd say
I think it works.
8-1 it works.
See, I say 50-50.
I mean,
I could see it going either way.
I'm close on it, but I think it will. I got to be honest. I had a lot of respect for the team that they put together
I do
before
too.
they added him.
I don't necessarily have
But see, here's
as much for the quarterback
Yeah.
who I should have
That's
a
where we're
tremendous
all
amount of
conflicted.
respect
But
here's
yeah.
the thing
based
about-
on his skill set.
They
Yeah.
have enough talent where all he has to be is good,
Yeah.
and they're a hell of a lot better than they were last year.
That is true.
You
There's
know,
no real
that's
excuses
all he has
for
to
him,
be.
too. I mean, he's got young
doesn't have to
talent,
be-
He's got his old guy.
Yeah,
Like
he
if he
doesn't have to
played
be
like Mac
prime
Jones
Aaron-
did his
yeah.
rookie year, which to me would be a colossal disappointment for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But if he played just that well, they should win 9 or 10
Right.
games.
With,
Right.
I mean, with Brees Hall coming
That's the thing.
back,
What they need out of him isn't prime Aaron Rodgers. They just need him to be good and competent, and they'll be a hell of a lot better than
you
they've
got any
been.
odds?
That's
wanna weigh
why.
in?
That's why I think it's going
I
to
think
work.
it fails miserably.
Huh?
Well, I hope you're right.
I know.
See, I like to scratch under the surface. I could tell when he's quiet.
But
he's-
why?
Why? Because I think it will work great for the first month of the season. Then I truly think that he's kind of washed, and I think that the whole operation that they have running over there on offense is shaky at best from a coaching standpoint. I mean, they got Nathaniel Hackett running their offense, and something tells me that the league will figure out what they did in the first month of the season, and I don't know if they're going to have a plan B.
Maybe. I just think they got.
I'm not saying they're going to be a disaster, like they're going to go 6-11 or something like that. But I think relative to expectations, it ends up being a failure.
I think now, if you ask me, what are the odds that he gets injured, then I think that's higher than normal.
Because the second that he feels like it's not going well,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Because he's one
out.
of those guys that just he quits. He quits. Like the second that it's not perfect, he's going to be like, nope,
Especially
I'm
with the
out.
media in New York throwing gas on those flames, and
Yeah.
they can't wait to make that happen.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. All right. And then I guess we have to mention good luck to the Celtics tonight.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Don't let them get two.
Don't let them get two. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
sure,
so
Miami's
funny how
quicker in
people
the
have
booth.
turned, though. They went from these dogs to they're going to do it.
I'm just going to let you know.
They're going to win 4 in a row.
I'm going to defend a lot of Celtics fans here. There wasn't a lot of changing. I can't tell you how many people on my Twitter feed. I don't know. They're the better team. They can win 4 in a row. They're the better team. They
After
can
that
win 4 in a row.
after that game 3
Yes.
performance, I don't know who was on his Twitter feed.
I don't know.
Like, he always has, like, people.
I
that
was
say
already doing the
opposite
off-season
of-
obituary after game 3.
Everything
I
I've
am too,
seen.
but
I don't know who.
That's because you have a rational bone in your body. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's on my feed, and I've talked to you about this before, and you guys haven't really seemed to be able to figure this out. I don't know where all these people came from. I don't know who they are, and I don't
That's
know.
welcome to the new Twitter algorithm.
I don't know. This is not new. This
Yeah,
is not an Elon
this
Musk
is the Perillo
thing.
algorithm.
No, Mike knows a lot of the same people.
Made out of straw.
No, that's
You mentioned one of them that I do not follow, who is on my timeline, and you took a rocket shot at him Tuesday.
Oh.
The intern. I don't know how he's one of them.
Yeah.
That Dan Kelly guy is one of them.
yeah.
I don't know how these people get on my
he's the
my
worst.
timeline. I don't know who they are, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody.
I know,
I just don't know how I got these perpetual pom-pom waivers on my timeline that I don't follow.
But
Yeah.
but the majority of people after that said it's over. It's over.
It's not over.
Patriots fans.
Yeah,
I mean
don't-
Celtics fans.
I think it's like 50-50.
Na-
I think there's a
Don't-
lot of
don't-
people who
but-
think that they're
Don't let
so
them win
much
tonight.
better.
Oh, now.
Don't
now
let
they,
them win
Now
tonight.
they've
If they
won a
lose
game.
tonight, they should just blow the whole team up. This
Don't
is a
let 'em-
layup tonight.
Don't let them win tonight.
Why do you think it's a layup?
Yeah, it's not
Tonight?
If they're as good as you say that if they're a 9-point favorite in a game tonight,
I hate
and
the,
they
the,
lo-
the Vegas line.
like
means
they're going to
nothing in
lose
basketball.
again at home.
I know, but the Vegas line's been wrong
The
all the
whole
way
series.
through. It's been wrong. Everybody's been wrong. You know, they're not looking at what's going on. I don't think this is a layup tonight. Are you kidding me?
This is not a series until they win
I
The other
think-
team's missing like their third best player, and you're at home, and you can't win that game.
Well,
not
I'd
Jimmy.
get rid of all of them. I'd keep Tatum and get rid of everybody else
Well-
if they lose this game tonight.
yeah,
I'm emotional like that. You know how I can. be.
I think that you have to make severe moves even if they win. You know, even if
They
they
had a
win.
97%
They win the
chance to
series?
win this series.
What are you going to do?
And now
if
they're
they-
going to
if they
win the
make
series. Everybody's
finals?
going to make it out to be a miracle. I'm waiting for this.
I just don't let them win tonight.
well, they're going to win tonight.
If they win tonight, I'm not calling it a series at 3-1. I'm not calling they avoided the embarrassment of getting swept. Good for you. But this team, I know for a fact that they could easily look at it and say, well, at least we didn't get swept, right? Like, you know,
I rule nothing out. You're right. I rule nothing out with them.
at least, you know, that 30-point blowout in game 3 was, they didn't want to go down like that. Good for them. They won game 4, but I could definitely see the Celtics coming out tonight and being like, well, we just really didn't want to like get embarrassed and
I
get
kind of
swept
think
in the
Miami's
series.
taking the game off.
But
I think
regardless,
this guy would play if
I know.
they needed him.
Their plane was delayed too.
yeah,
That's
but
happening at
if the
home.
Celtics win tonight, now we're cooking with gas. Now it's a real series because Miami game 6, that's you don't want to play game 7 in the Garden. Like the Celtics, don't play great at home to begin with, but game 7 at the Garden with this core have been blowouts. I mean, Milwaukee game 7 last year, Philly game 7 this year. We're talking like 25-point massacres by the Celtics in home game 7s in their history together. So
right.
don't
I
let them
think
win
they'd have
tonight.
just as good
Convince
a
me.
shot of losing Game 7 as they would Game 6.
I just.
I think
the
I
things
think
that
they're
we've
so
seen-
mentally weak. It's
The
ridiculous.
things that we've seen during the
I think that's
playoffs
unfair.
are things that we saw during the season when they played better teams, right? No?
I don't know.
It has nothing to do with
the
the caliber.
turnovers.
It has
the-
nothing to do with the caliber
the
of
dumb
opponent.
plays.
It's all,
I mean,
they
agree
were
with
a
Evan on this.
57-win team.
It's all about them,
Well, I agree.
which isn't all that great, by
They're-
the way.
they
There's
have-
only like 10 teams in the league.
I
that
think
try.
the one thing that the Celtics have going for them about coming back in this series is that a lot of the Heat role players, not Jimmy Butler, not Bam Adebayo, a lot of the Heat role players have been shooting out of their mind from 3 in the playoffs. And if they finally come back to normal and some of those
They
guys
did.
regress,
That's
like
why you won Game 4.
right. And if that continues, if the Gabe Vincent's not playing tonight, if the Strausses, if the Caleb Martins, if the Kyle Lowrys, the Kevin Loves, if those guys all of a sudden start chucking up a bunch of bricks, then
Oh, yeah.
then all of a
But
sudden
the
you're back into
Celtics still have to put the defensive effort in that they put in
Yeah, it's
last
good.
game.
I'm with Evan. It's shots.
No, but they
because the whole
They had
they played,
smart.
They played so
Smart,
much better defense.
Grant Williams, Derek White, and Al Horford made 18 threes the other day.
Oh, for the
Yeah.
Celtics. But
Caleb Martin,
they all missed.
Gabe
Yeah.
Vincent, Max Struss and what's the Williams kid? Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
Combined for 4.
No. But
That's the difference in the game.
but
It has
I
nothing to
it's
do
been
with
the
defense.
difference in the series.
Those guys are wide open.
It's been
and
the
they've been
difference in the
missing all
series.
game.
I think the Celtics.
Al
played-
Horford hasn't had a guy near him on a 3-pointer all series.
Right.
Last game he decided
Because
to make him. Same
because
with
the-
Grant Williams.
The Celtics
Heat are
played
doubling
much better
or-
defense last game.
They're
but it
trapping
doesn't
Jason
matter.
Tatum.
How many trips
there you
down
go.
the floor? I think there were like 6 consecutive trips
Celtics
down the floor
podcast now.
where Miami went
Hate it.
and didn't score, and it was because
They
of good
turned the ball over.
and it wasn't because they were taking outside shots and missing
No,
them.
they were turning the ball over.
No, they
Yes,
weren't. They were
the
missing.
18-0 run was all turnovers.
They were going in, and it was a contested shot down low, and they were missing.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots were getting the Patriots. I keep saying the Patriots.
Mm.
The Celtics were
It's
getting
not
the
what
rebound, and at that time, the Celtics weren't hitting either. But there were like 6 consecutive trips where it was contested shot down low.
The
They
Celtics
missed,
were hitting.
and the Celtics got the
They
rebound.
went on an 18-0 run in the third quarter.
Yeah, eventually, they broke it open.
All off-
I'm
all
talk-
off of turnovers
I'm talking
by
about when
Miami.
it was still tight. They weren't turnovers.
That's when it
Paul.
was tight. The Celtics were losing at the time of that 18-0 run.
Yeah, the
by 9.
The Celtics played much better defense.
Sure,
the
great.
Heat-
If that
the
makes you
Heat's
feel
whole
better,
off-
great.
the
It's all
Heat-
about being wide open and making a shot. The Celtics made them, 18 of them. The Heat made 4 of them. I'm not talking about Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler. Those guys get defended. Max Strus doesn't get defended. It's all about whether or not he makes the shot. Marcus Smart doesn't get defended. It's all about whether he makes it or not. The first 3 games, the Celtics missed all of those.
Yep.
And the Heat made them all.
Yeah, the Heat's whole offense is the defense reacting to Jimmy Butler with the ball, right? So either he's going to score on his own or he's going to kick the ball out because the whole defense is collapsed on him in the paint. When that defense collapses, Strus, Duncan, like all these guys have been just draining threes all playoff long. They've been shooting like 46% from 3 in the playoffs, and they were 33 or 34% regular season shooting team.
And they shot 25 the other night.
So if they regress back to what they were in the regular season for 3 more games,
The Celtics will win.
the Celtics
3
will
straight.
win the series. But if they continue to be hot, then they won't. And not having Gabe Vincent tonight is huge because he's one of those drive and kick guys. You know, he's a spot up shooter that they really have relied on. So we'll see. But I really think that the Celtics win tonight. It's not a series yet. Don't tell me that they're in it. They're not in it. It's 3-1. Nobody's ever come back. You make it 3-2. Then it becomes a little bit different. I think also with the psyche of the Celtics, you can. Let's take the other 2 games out of it for a second that they won to get to 3-2. They've come back from 3-2. So if you lock into the fact that, we just have to win game 6 and 7, well, we did that against Milwaukee, we did that against Philly this year. It's possible. And now it's a Celtics podcast. I love it.
I don't love
Rick
it.
in Kentucky says, no disrespect to the Celtics, but please wake me up when you start talking about the Patriots.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
You know,
it is May. Sorry.
It is May, and it is Boston, and and they are playing tonight. So,
Yeah.
and we had our practice
Yeah.
canceled. So,
So what are we gonna do?
forgive
We're
us.
mad.
Otherwise we'd be all over the Patriots
Yeah.
today.
With like real actual.
It's not our fault.
I can't do it with the Celtics. I can't get my hopes up because then they won't do it and I'll get crushed. So I'm just.
So you're just gonna dip your toe in the water tonight slowly.
I get what
and
he's.
then
I get his rationale.
Well,
but
the other
I
night-
really think they win tonight.
The other night, Jess looked at me and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And she's like, they're winning and you're not excited. Like, what's going on with you?" And I was like, "I'm not doing it. I'm not allowing myself to get my hopes up. I'm not going to do this." You know, it was game 3, 19-8 redux. Maybe it was. But I'm not getting my hopes up.
And to Fred's point, I feel very strongly that the Celtics will win tonight, but I felt probably even stronger that they would win game 2.
Right.
And
I
they
know
didn't.
so.
Now, here's why I don't think they can win 4 in a row. All the shooting stuff aside, the Celtics only have one way to win, and that is to be up by double digits or, preferably closer to 20 when you hit the 5-minute mark. If one of the last 3 games is close, they will lose it.
That's sad.
So it's hard to me to envision them blowing them out 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to do because the Heat have proven if it's close, they'll win it.
That's fair.
All right, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. I mean, if you want to talk Celtics, you can.
Hey,
But
how about a little respect to the Panthers for our Panthers?
No, stop it. Don't talk.
I
Swept
Nothing.
the Hurricanes.
No, but you got to give him respect.
No.
No.
Oh my God.
You know what we saw? The Stanley Cup final was the first round of
pretty
the
much.
Stanley Cup.
Well, that
Bruins
was
and
definitely the
Panthers.
Eastern Conference.
That was
God.
it. That was the Stanley Cup.
They were up 3-1. I mean, Marchand, even in the game 7, Marchand.
Why?
I mean,
why?
like,
Why
know,
are you doing this?
I mean,
It's,
come on.
did you guys hear any of Rod Brindamore? Like he's
Oh,
the Carolina
God.
coach.
He sounded pretty
What
depressed.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
We
I know
didn't-
exactly
we didn't
what
get
he's
swept.
talking about.
We didn't get swept.
Yeah, like does he take it to the theater of the absurd? Yes.
Yeah.
It was a little Andy-like, where he goes way too far. But I mean, they basically lost 3 overtime games, and
Yeah.
you're gonna kill them for like a no-show in the
Yeah.
all of those games could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Kachuk, man, he's
something. He's on a roll.
He is.
He's on a tear.
It's going to go down as one of the flukiest things that you've ever seen.
just what? What do you mean? Florida.
That one
putting it together?
team wins every time in that spot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have no the hockey playoffs in general. I have no time for. I haven't watched a single second of the hockey playoffs since the Bruins got knocked
They're
out.
11-1.
Not even
I haven't either.
a millisecond.
I haven't
Right?
either.
Since being down 3-1 to the
Yeah.
Bruins, they're 11-1.
I got to admit, I haven't watched any
In
NBA
every game.
other than the Celtics.
Pretty much every game could have gone either
Yeah.
way.
Kachuk just keeps getting them, bailing them out.
All right, let's get to the phones. Chris with a TIAN is on the line. What's up, Christian?
No, man, it's not Christian with the
Oh, it's
IA.
Christian in
Christian
LA.
in LA.
Sorry, that's my bad.
Wrong.
That's the other Christian. He's cool too.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
Christian,
my bad.
listening, which I know
He's
you
not
like.
as
I
cool
like
as you.
This is just Christian.
He's not as cool as you.
Hey, so two comments. One is a question, actually. One is a comment. I'm hot and cold on what the league is doing with the punt return and even the kickoff stuff. With the draft capital that we spent, I'm sorry?
Nobody said anything.
No, keep going.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's just the voice in
I
your
must
head.
be echoing. With the draft capital that we spent on guys that are going to be potentially only special team players, question number one is, do you guys see us sort of flipping the roster to free up some more spots for other positions now that the special teams guys aren't going to be that important, or just stashing those guys for next year in case this 1 year try doesn't work out? That's my first question. And then my second question is, if Butte and Douglas come on and camp, as it seems like we're sort of predicting they might, which one of the veterans do you see as being more expendable, Kendrick Bourne or Devontae Parker? Thanks, guys, and always great to talk to you.
All right, thanks. Oh, first the special teams thing.
I don't see a lot of change. I mean, I know the bottom 2 guys are special teams guys, but I mean, they didn't really have any undrafted rookies this year. Usually you get like 10 undrafted rookies. So some of those late round guys in the draft, I see them just as kind of UDFAs anyway. So
let me
but we're
ask-
just talking about kickoff.
Let me ask you a question. On a kickoff, do you, like, if it's a short kickoff, do you see a lot of guys fair catching?
Well, I mean,
even if you get it at
Depends
the
on who-
25?
well, like if you're at
Depends on
the,
who the
if you're like
returner is, I
at the
guess.
20, like you're waving it and you're
well, no,
already at
not
the
the
25.
20's
like,
a little
like
bit.
how
I'm
short-
talking about
how
like
short you
inside
talk?
the
5
10.
yard line.
Yeah.
5 yard
Yeah.
line.
I would fair catch.
You would?
Yeah, unless it's like a line drive right at you.
You tell your guys to fair catch?
No, I would tell them to judge the ball like I do a punt, just
Right.
like Evan said last week.
And from that, see, that's why I push back on the notion of like
I don't think a
special
lot
teams.
has changed.
Right, exactly, because you still have to defend the kickoff. Like they can still return it. So in theory, you still have to defend the kickoff.
Right.
So you still have to put 11 guys out there that can make a tackle. So even though we can have a larger conversation about the value of special teams in general, and if that's the talk you want to have, then fine. But I don't think that this rule changes the philosophy of special teams being important to Bill Belichick, because you're still kicking off and the ball is still going into a returner's hand, and the chance that he returns it is still high.
Like the 2 ones against the Bills.
Yeah.
Neither one of them went into the end zone. So now you're saying that they're going to fair catch those? I don't think so. Not if you're kicking low line drives. Now, if you can hang it up high and he's catching it at the 5 yard line, he's going to fair catch it every time. But I don't think it's going to. I don't think there's going to be a huge difference in terms of roster construction. I think that someone in the mailbag this week asked a question. It's a good question. About guys that just return. Maybe. What's the Liberty guy?
Demario
Douglas,
Demario,
right?
yeah.
I always want to call him Davis for the linebacker from the Saints.
Oh, don't confuse me.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah, I should know better.
at the Shrine Bowl there was a Dallas Daniels and a Demario Douglas, and they both played slot receiver on the Patriots team.
I
So,
can't do any of that.
A lot of D's.
yeah.
But let's say that he has like this dynamic return ability, and he doesn't really have any other special teams attributes. I have no idea what he's going to do, and he's not showing any promise for the slot. I don't think a guy like that is going to win a roster spot.
Yeah.
I didn't think a guy like that would win a roster spot 10 years ago. I don't think Bill values it enough that that's the only thing he does. Like even Cordero Patterson, who was one of the best returners in the league, he found a way to incorporate in the offense.
Yeah.
Right.
And if he doesn't do that with Douglas, I don't think he'll stay.
I think you're totally right, Paul. And I think, just look at, a couple years ago when it seemed like, just put Bolden back there. They didn't have a guy, and they're like,
how many
nah.
times?
Right.
Blunt used to do it.
Yeah.
So on his other question, if Butte or the other guy, make a spot, who's expendable?
I mean, I guess we could say Bourne. I just don't know if they're in a position to toss either one of those guys. You struggled so much last year.
Right.
Do you really think these two rookies, they look pretty good in the preseason, and now you're just going to get rid of Devontae Parker? I don't know. It's a lot. I mean, I guess it could be a number one. I would say it would be Bourne, but I also just they don't have a lot.
Nope.
Where you can be all right, we're all set now. Get rid of Kendrick Bourne. I still think he's a good player that could contribute. So I don't know. It'd be an interesting problem to have. I'd love to just have one of those guys step up, but I don't know. I'd be surprised if they jettison those guys.
Yeah, I get by the sheer numbers of it. Carrying 6 receivers is a little bit out of character for them, so somebody has to go if those 2 rookies pop. But I wouldn't rule out carrying 6 receivers.
Because if you're talking about Ferkser or Kendrick Bourne,
Right, right. There's ways to do it, especially if you consider some of the players that I think are guys that could get to the practice squad and then be elevated for games and things like they did that with Miles Bryant a few years ago. Is anybody, no offense, really picking up Miles Bryant or running to the waiver wire?
It could come down to things like that too with the offensive linemen. And they're going to have offensive linemen on your practice squad. Every team does. Right, and especially now with the 16 guys. Do you think you can get those guys more readily to the practice squad than you can? Because it might, you might look at it and say, well, those are fourth round picks, higher than 6th round picks. But, especially Booty is a higher profile kind of guy than the offensive lineman. So, and I know that sounds silly. Think they get, I think sometimes they get fooled and they remember that guy from LSU who had 300 yards in that game as a freshman and was considered a 2nd round pick at worst.
Yeah.
And 1st round pick in some circles, they remember that. Yeah. And they know that talent is there. Whereas some of the linemen, he's good, solid. Yeah, Jake Andrews, he's gonna have a career in the league. Maybe.
Yeah.
And don't you feel like most teams right now have kind of those offensive linemen in their building right now?
Yes.
You probably got some in the draft or undrafted rookies. And as much as those guys are 4th round picks, early day 3 picks, it's still it's hard to see Jake Andrews. He's not making it through. I think somebody like that probably could.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Todd, North Carolina. Hey, Todd.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I just thought I'd give you guys a bit of a heads up. Andy was hinting that he would like to come back at the end of his podcast. Plus, I got 2 questions.
You'd like to come back at the end of his podcast?
No, at the end of his podcast this week, 6 rings and football things.
Fun
he was
with
hinting
punctuation.
He wants to come back to see you guys, and if you can give him a raise, he definitely wants to be there.
Yeah,
I think
Andy's agent calling in.
I'd like to say that the interest
I
is
think
mutual.
you get 2 shots, and that's it.
2?
Yeah.
I got 2 quick little questions to go along with the goofy comment. The practice squad, when is it set? Is it set right when you get down to that 53-man roster, or does it get the last?
No, you got to re-sign those guys the next day.
Yeah.
So you
They all become
roster,
free agents.
Everybody's a free agent. Then you got to get them to your practice.
But it's
squad.
always a fluid situation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. And the other question is, what about us
was an Andy
drafting
phrase.
tight ends? Other than Gronk, I really haven't thought of any other tight ends that they really drafted and stuck with the team in the last 15 years.
Ben Watson, Dan Graham.
Well, that was
Couple.
he's talking about
Last
that's
15
before
15 years.
the last
On the
15,
cusp.
yeah.
Does the other one count?
Yeah, Hernandez counts.
Well, was he a tight end or was he more of a?
He
He
was.
a tight end.
Okay,
245
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
but it just seems to me that we haven't.
Well, they haven't
haven't
really
looked
reached.
any-
They haven't gone high for a tight end in a while.
No.
You
They
know.
haven't, they haven't looked
Well,
for talent
they
in
did
that
take
area.
2 third-round picks, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Keenan and Asiasi were both third-round picks.
Yeah, that's true.
They were.
That was but that draft, I have to go back and fact check it exactly, but they hadn't drafted a tight end in ages because they had Gronk. So like what what was the
like
point?
Who-Man and
right? Who it was?
guys like that.
They signed a guy like Martellus Bennett or Scott Chandler or whoever to just be tight end too. But what was the point in wasting a top 50 pick on a tight end when you had the greatest tight end of all time on your roster?
Well, I would
So
say
they
it wouldn't
went-
have been wasting it if they did it in
Injury
like 2018 when he was starting to wind down and like he could
Right.
have had some
those
foresight
were
there,
those
but-
were some of the second guesses, I guess, late in his career. But there was like a 4 or 5 year period where they just avoided ignored it because why? No one's gonna come in here and play.
Can't
so
believe they ignored it this year.
Yeah, Asiasi and Keene were interesting. They never
never
materialized,
at all, I
huh?
don't think,
Yeah.
really.
No.
But I would say, investing a third round pick.
Yeah,
You know,
expect
yeah.
that. I mean, those are
Something.
third round picks.
Yeah,
What?
thanks, Todd.
4 years ago now.
Something.
Yeah.
You got nothing.
You expect
You
to
got
have
nothing out
at
of
least
that.
one of those guys on your roster.
Yeah.
4 years later.
Devin
if not both.
Asiasi could have been on the roster.
No, but I
he's
mean
not-
as a player.
Yeah, I mean,
Like he's on a
he played
roster
for
now, but he's
Cincinnati,
not doing
right?
anything for Cincinnati either.
Right.
I mean, Keene was always hurt, but I mean, Asiasi was another one of those guys that never saw him doing it. He's a Ronnie Perkins, and I know he played a few games, but never saw him do anything in practice.
Asiasi was
there
one
it
of the
is.
rare guys that I did a draft profile on that I got the impression that I got sort of a lukewarm, like from his college coaches, and they liked him a lot. They thought he had potential. It was a question of whether or not it would fully click in, and there was like some red flags there.
So the Patriots drafted Gronk and Hernandez obviously in 2010. They drafted Lee Smith in 2011.
He's actually an NFL
and he's
player.
like a blocker,
Yeah.
right?
And then they drafted AJ Derby in 2015.
yeah.
He played for Denver.
Yeah.
And then they didn't draft another tight end until Ryan Izzo in the 7th round.
Oh.
Izzo or Izzo?
So we're talking
Somewhere Claire just shrieked.
We're talking about guys that 6th round picks, 7th round picks. We're not
Except-
talking about
that's
an
why
investment.
I only brought up Keenan Asiasi.
Right. So from the 2010 draft with Gronk and Hernandez to the Keenan Asiasi draft, you had a couple day 3 flyers on guys, but nothing really called an investment.
But those two picks were almost like you talk about with Cole Strange, where you're like, we got no tight ends. Like Gronk retired. What
Yeah.
are we going to do now? And, you know.
I mean, that was a bad tight end class to begin with. I think like Adam Trotman might be the best tight end to come out of that class, and he's not anything. So
Especially Keene in the 3rd round. That was a shocker. I
For
mean, I think
everybody,
everybody
yeah.
was on him as like 7th round special teams guy and 3rd round.
That impresses me. Like that, I can't do that. Like I can't. I remember all the names.
yeah.
If you tell me all the names that we spent way too many hours talking about on stupid draft review podcasts, I can tell you all the names. And as soon as you said Troutman, I'm like, but if you ask me, say, what year was he drafted?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah, so that
no
class
chance.
was
that was
Trotman,
the class that no way.
Harrison Bryant was the tight end of the year, the Mackey
Yeah.
Award winner that
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Harrison Bryant.
And Asiasi was up there as a prospect. Like those were the couple guys. Josiah DeGora with the Packers.
I liked him.
So those were like a handful of the guys that were up near the top
It's
of that
impressive
board.
to me.
But
to
they
remember that class.
when you study those classes as much as I do and waste so much of your life watching them, that's what happens. But yeah, that class was not a good class, which is what made it so surprising that they took 2 of them. Like they took 2 tight ends from a bad
what
class.
they've tended. Someone was being critical of us because we're not talking about all the great draft picks they've had. And Fred, you can recall me being very defensive of Bill's drafting.
Sure, he's very
right?
good drafter.
Very, very good drafter. I think I got made fun of for saying. But that's some of the things that they've done, like in this 14, 15, 16 through 18, 19, 20. Some of these lighter drafts, they've done that 3 or 4 times where they've gone after a position in a year that was down for that position. And it's almost like they do it intentionally because, well, everybody loves the wide receivers in this class. So we're not going to get the 8th wide receiver, even though he's better than the best wide receiver the following year. We're going to wait for the year when that position is down, and I don't think it's worked.
No.
And that tight end thing is an example of it.
Yeah, so I forgot about Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's probably the best out of that group, and Cole Kmet has 50 catches.
He's a pretty good player.
In his career, but he's a good blocker. The only time that I can remember them doing what you're talking about and it working is Christian Barmore. But I don't know if Barmore's worked, but he's clearly good, an NFL player that can play. But he was the first defensive tackle taken in that draft because it was a weak defensive tackle draft.
Yeah.
So
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back.
Because Fred's food's here.
My food's here.
And I already ate mine,
Paul,
which
you
I'm
leaving?
sure you guys
Are you
already
leaving
watched.
early today?
I am leaving.
You got graduation?
I do.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
Verizon, the network America relies on, and the official 5G network of the New England Patriots.
Patriot Place is the region's #1 shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Shop your favorites, including Vineyard Vines, Express, Bass Pro Shops, Petco, and more. Enjoy dining at one of our 19 restaurants, including Six String Grill and Stage, Scorpion Bar, and Bar Louie. And don't forget about the entertainment. Explore your inner artist at Muse Paint Bar. Watch a movie at Showcase Cinema Deluxe, or grab a controller and start gaming at Helix Esports. For a complete directory listing, please visit patriot-place.com.
How did Verizon build the fastest 5G in the world? We started by building it right with 5G Ultra Wideband. Then we gave it massive capacity and near zero lag. And it's not just fast, it's 25 times faster than today's 4G networks. This is 5G built right from the network more people rely on, only on Verizon. 5G Ultra Wideband available only in parts of select cities. Global claim based on open signal independent analysis. 25 times analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q2 2020.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Some people are never content with simply being good. Not when they can be great. But it takes a big step to get there. In fact, it takes a leap of faith, a belief in what you're striving toward, and a willingness to make the commitment, day in and day out, to something bigger than yourself. Putnam is proud to partner with those who share their own commitment to performance excellence. This is Matt Light for Putnam Investments, a world of investing.
There's no season better than football season, and there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week, so head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Patriots fans, you'll want to check out the replay on this one. Pat the Patriot is stealing the show tonight with his Bank of America mobile banking app.
That's right, folks. So here we see Pat cheering, and then whammo! Is that Bank of America life plan?
Looks like he's saving up for some big future moves. Planning the next vacay, huh, big guy?
And wait, now he's paying back his buddy for concessions using Zelle? No penalty there. Incredible.
No way. As if that double move wasn't impressive enough, now he's beefing up his account defense with security meter? Holy cannoli, what a performance.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive, Patriot fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/banking. You must be enrolled in online banking or download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Want to get into the game? Get coached up at Dean College. Equipped with exclusive academic partnerships featuring the Patriots, Revolution, Providence Bruins, summer baseball, and more, our classrooms are set up for success by learning directly from the pros. Dean College has programs in communications, sports management, business, and marketing with unprecedented hands-on experiences. Our students take what they learn in the classroom and put it right to work in the marketplace. At Dean College, our students don't just play games, we run them. Visit us at dean.edu.
Verizon, the network America relies on, and the official 5G network of the New England Patriots.
Patriot Place is the region's #1 shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Shop your favorites, including Vineyard Vines, Express, Bass Pro Shops, Petco, and more. Enjoy dining at one of our 19 restaurants, including Six String Grill and Stage, Scorpion Bar, and Bar Louie. And don't forget about the entertainment. Explore your inner artist at Muse Paint Bar. Watch a movie at Showcase Cinema Deluxe, or grab a controller and start gaming at Helix Esports. For a complete directory listing, please visit patriot-place.com.
How did Verizon build the fastest 5G in the world? We started by building it right with 5G Ultra Wideband. Then we gave it massive capacity and near zero lag. And it's not just fast, it's 25 times faster than today's 4G networks. This is 5G built right from the network more people rely on, only on Verizon. 5G Ultra Wideband available only in parts of select cities. Global claim based on open signal independent analysis. 25 times analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q2 2020.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Some people are never content with simply being good. Not when they can be great. But it takes a big step to get there. In fact, it takes a leap of faith, a belief in what you're striving toward, and a willingness to make the commitment, day in and day out, to something bigger than yourself. Putnam is proud to partner with those who share their own commitment to performance excellence. This is Matt Light for Putnam Investments, a world of investing.
There's no season better than football season, and there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week, so head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Patriots fans, you'll want to check out the replay on this one. Pat the Patriot is stealing the show tonight with his Bank of America mobile banking app.
That's right, folks. So here we see Pat cheering, and then whammo! Is that Bank of America life plan?
Looks like he's saving up for some big future moves. Planning the next vacay, huh, big guy?
And wait, now he's paying back his buddy for concessions using Zelle? No penalty there. Incredible!
No way! As if that double move wasn't impressive enough, now he's beefing up his account defense with security meter? Holy cannoli, what a performance!
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive, Patriot fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/banking. You must be enrolled in online banking or download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Member FDIC.
And now, great moments in
History.
So I love college football. He has no interest in it until February, but it's so much. This weekend especially is going to be great. You know, Alabama, Tennessee, there's probably at least one future Patriot playing in that game. So that would probably be it.
Okay.
Because he's patting himself on the back so much, I'm going to just say this. The reason why I don't get into college football in the fall is because I have what's called a girlfriend. And 6 days a week, I have to
Shots fired.
football.
Shots
and
fired.
on Saturday, I spend it with Jess. So there you go.
Wow.
I'm going to truly enjoy my Saturday this week, and I thought you said we weren't doing personal.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here in Patriots Unfiltered, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Paul has left.
He's going to be a puddle up there watching his kid graduate. I can't imagine.
Yeah,
When we went to go pick him up at his office, he looked like he might have been crying.
No, he says he's not handling it well emotionally.
No, he's watching his little boy go to prom, and
I was finally,
get rid of him.
Get him out of here. No, I'm only kidding. But no, Paul is
he's in it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some of these emails at webradio@patriots.com. It's Deuce, it's Evan, it's myself. Matt's still here, thank goodness.
Thank God, we wouldn't have a show without him.
Let's see, Dan writes in. He says, I'm so glad Mac's girlfriend sacrificed her time and hard-earned money to take him to Taylor Swift concert. All jokes aside, I think we all expect him to have a better year than last year. It seems like Mac has generally been dealt a bad hand throughout his tenure here. Between a lack of potent playmakers and below average at best protection, the best rise to the occasion despite the circumstances, and he obviously hasn't done so yet. Just look at how well Burrow has played despite poor protection. He actually has playmakers around him, though. There's reason to be hopeful with the addition of Bill O'Brien, new playmakers, and a more youthful team overall. Despite a difficult schedule, the Patriots will end up with double-digit wins.
All right.
And second in the division. Mac should have a leap, taking pressure off Ramondre to carry the load. Best case, someone else steps up too. It's an exciting time to be a Patriots fan. Remain equally as loyal and hopeful and as critical when applicable.
Wow. An exciting time to be a Patriots fan. I don't hear that a lot these days. I'm not going to lie.
Were you not around the last 20 years?
Yeah.
I'm not sure we can
it's more the last few.
top that for excitement.
Yeah, you don't hear that a lot from this fan base right now, that anybody is really... some people might be a little bit cautiously optimistic, but excited or
I think
great
that's
time
why
to be a fan.
I think that's why I was frustrated that we didn't get to go out there today, because I think that there's always something to get excited about when you actually, just get to see them play a little bit. I think we all know that we're watching OTAs and that this, might have very little impact, but even still, just, to get some excitement brewing. I just think, like, regardless of the observations that we're going to tell you about football and who's playing where and all that stuff, it's just, seeing, it's like not the first day of school. I don't know. It's like the last goodbye before the long break. And,
I'm all for overhyping OTA practices.
Oh, yeah.
All for it.
I love appetizers.
Yeah.
And that's what, the spring is. It's an appetizer.
Guys look a little bigger, a little leaner, a little stronger.
Right, like if we got out
faster,
there, I keep on thinking about Taekwon. Like if we get out there and Taekwon's 10 pounds of muscle heavier, then like all of a sudden, you'd start to get a little bit excited. And if then he goes out there and he makes a play, now you get really excited and all for it.
And you probably would just watch Christian Gonzalez jog out to the field and you'd be like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, he's just one of those guys that he should shine in this type of thing because it's just about athleticism, right? There's no contact. It's not real football yet, and he's a get off the bus type of guy. And I was looking forward to seeing him too. Absolutely.
Rusty in Arlen says, really mourning the loss of those OTAs. Was looking forward to reading about how Malik Cunningham is tearing things up in shorts, but I guess I'll have to wait before carving that bust for Canton. That being said, I do think there are some interesting things to watch for in OTAs, like what they do with Cunningham, where Booty is on the depth chart, and who is our left tackle. Got an early prediction for any of those?
Sure. I think Cunningham will be fourth in line, and he'll be learning how to hand the ball off and do simple things like
left
that.
Bench.
I don't think we'll see a lot of him, but I think anything we do see will just be kind of rudimentary. They're installing the basics. I mean, I'm sure he's been learning a ton of things with the rookies that they've been here for the last couple of weeks, and getting a foundation. Who are the other ones? Left tackle. I think it's gonna be Trent Brown and Riley Reif. I think James Ferentz will fill in at right guard for Onwenu, which was reported that he was out. which I think is just what they do. When you have a hole in a camp like this, it's not about like who's the best or who you think. It's about who knows what they're doing, who can go out there and establish the baseline for the guys that don't know what they're doing. So James Ferentz is a perfect guy at right guard to step in for Michael Onwenu. You know, as much as somebody might want to say, oh, Sidney Sow is, getting a chance right at, I don't think that that's something that's going to happen. But I will say that, with Onwenu, we saw him in even in that OTA. Like, it seems like he's in there a little bit. He's in the mix. Like, you didn't know what was going on, but you could tell that he was kind of picking things up and that they liked him.
Speaking of Onwenu, Jack in Ann Arbor wants to know, is there a question whether Michael Onwenu will recover fully from his off-season ankle injury?
No.
No, it sounded like he'd be okay. I mean, I do think. I mean, I'd floated if some of these rookies look really good, could he be moved? Where everybody wants to talk about us going and signing a wide receiver going into his last year, his deal, but could they be on the other end of that? Could they say we got a bunch of guards, we know, and when you could maybe get us something back that we need, even if it's a day 2 draft pick. That might be a little bit crazy, but even still, I think.
I mean, they've done it before. I think that the biggest year ahead trade in terms of rookie contract like Chandler Jones, right?
Yeah.
Trading him into year 4. Jamie Collins was already in season, but he was on year 4 of the rookie deal and got dealt. So it's not totally out of the realm for them to do something.
Well, he's wondering, because of the ankle injury, do the Patriots know something? That's why they drafted so many interior guys.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I do. It still strikes me strange that they drafted 3 guys that, to me, are interior guys.
Tim in New Hampshire, I have an autographed Tom Brady football that I got 20 years ago. It's an official ball with the logo Super Bowl 36 and 38. Do you have any idea how much it's worth, and now is the best time to sell? Will the fact that he's getting involved with Mark Davis drive down the value of Tom Brady merch?
I would sit on that sucker. But I'm not an expert on these kind of things because I think I have a Tom Brady signed ball too. But I think you need to get it like authenticated, and you need to make sure that everybody is confirmed that it's real.
It's like in Pawn Stars when they bring in the autograph expert to make sure that it's really the. No, I don't know. I wouldn't get rid of it personally.
No, just it's not going to go down in value. I think
it's also just like, I don't know, unless someday it's like thousands of dollars, which I don't think it ever really will be, because there's probably a lot of Tom Brady autograph stuff out there. I don't know. I think it's more valuable to just have it. Display it in your home.
I'm still sitting on 3 or 4 Barry Sanders rookie cards.
Oh, that's cool.
From my football card collecting days, as well as Deion Sanders. I got a couple Deion Sanders score rookie cards. So every now and then I'll look. I should go get up here. We got a card place up here. I'd love to just take them in and be like,
"What?" You got to get those graded, Mike.
Get them graded. Yeah.
I got a few.
It'd be worth something if you get them graded.
My uncle gave me his collection of basketball cards when I was growing up, and there's a few. It's mostly from like the 80s and 90s, and there's a few good ones in there. A few, Michael Jordans and Birds and things like that. So.
Never know. It's going to be good.
Matt in Boston, I was looking at some Vegas odds for the upcoming season. Max season total for passing yards is 3,275 and a hay. That's an average of 193 yards for 17 games. Personally, I think that's disrespectful, or are they assuming he won't play all 17 games? What do you think of this line?
I don't know. I mean, I've been kind of. I'm not a big Vegas line, but I have been dabbling and looking back at last season a little bit. I've watched just some recaps because I'm not like Paul. I don't have the game book installed into my prefrontal cortex or whatever it's called. But I think he threw for over 300 yards in like 2 or 3 games last year, tops. I mean, it was close. They were under 300 yards mostly. So I think that number is probably about where it should be based on last year.
Adrian from Delaware says, what are your opinions when fans of a sports team refer to said team as we or us? Like, why did we sign this player? The offense let us down, blah, blah, blah. I find the wording or phrasing from sports fans irritating. I mean, if you're a fan of the team, you feel like you're part of the team. That's the whole idea. I think journalists get criticized. Like if you're a beat writer for the Patriots, they get criticized when they say us or we or, but I think fans, you're supposed to say us. That's what you want. You should be invested in your team.
I think so too. I wrote a whole blog post back when I was like with Bleacher Report, I think, like just saying I think it's okay. Like if you're a fan of the team and you feel like you live and die with that team. You're part of that team in terms of the results. Like I don't really have a problem. I know in some contexts it can probably be annoying, where somebody sounds like they're the one doing the playing and all that kind of stuff. But I generally don't have a problem with it. I think if you're a fan and you love the team and you're invested in everything they do and you feel the wins and losses, then you're part of the team.
Yeah, I would never say we or us about the Patriots because I covered the Patriots.
Well, it's weird because we work like here, so we're always like we as the people that work here.
Right, but I wouldn't refer to it as like we did this or you know on the field or in free agency or something. But like with the Celtics, it's we. Yeah. I mean, it's we, baby. Like, I don't care about any of that.
That's why they did the Patriots.
So Evan's like, we're gonna lose.
Yeah,
we're gonna lose.
Mitch in Albany. I think the whole losing 2 OTAs because of a meeting is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. It seems like the punishment is a bit severe. But my favorite thing to come out of this is people saying that the Patriots are taking this season seriously when they're already cheating. I don't believe they cheated at all, but it is funny. Second, just wanted to check on the T-shirt and if I need to send in my address again. It's another person who hasn't gotten his T-shirt, Matt. What's going on?
That's my fault because I thought I sent them all out.
Mitch in Albany, check it out. So he still hasn't got his T-shirt. Maybe the post office, maybe they're intercepting him because
that I could tell.
We have a big mailman following.
Have we ever thought about selling merch for the
complicated.
Show? We could at some point.
Yeah. Jess asked why we don't sell.
Yeah,
sell merch.
We could.
I think training camp be a good opportunity to, we'll keep talking about T-shirt gun,
Yeah, some
shoot
T-shirts.
people in the face. If we could launch a T-shirt off of the side of the stadium to a fan down below, I think that would be a fun stunt.
Well, here you're the T-shirt guy. If we had T-shirts, some of
I could whip one up and have it for sale in about 20 minutes from now.
Some of our best zingers too, can be on a T-shirt.
We'd hit some lady in the back of the head. She'd fall forward and break her neck, and we'd get sued.
I know, and then she'd own Gillette Stadium. I think that there should be a Patriots Unfiltered shirt. I was visioning the design for it of what do you call it when it's
28-3?
What do you call like outside of stores and bars? They have the
facade.
No, the signs that
Bunting?
are all like one thing. One electric. God, why am I
neon
not
signs?
Neon signs. So kind of a neon sign. Patriots Unfiltered, and then maybe like an on-air sign, and then underneath the world's original podcast. Have that as like the kind of.
See, you're already coming up with ideas.
That's my idea for the Patriots T-shirt.
I mean, look at like Barstool. Their merch is a big part of their business.
I mean, it's like a requirement for them.
Yeah,
you got to like come up with T-shirts and.
Yeah.
I don't know how they haven't gotten.
Well, you know how like some stores have scents.
Yeah,
and they have we could have like since 1999.
World's original podcast since 1999.
Yeah.
I like it.
Let's get back to the Ace Ticket Hotline. We'll go to Paul in Vancouver. What's up, Paul?
Hey, Fred. How's it going?
I'm all right.
Chance to call in there. Quickly, Fred, is when you say about Bill, don't listen to what he says, but what he does, does that apply to your show as well?
I hesitate to answer, but
what did you do?
What do we do?
Because what you did, Fred, was that you brought Andy Hart back there for little segments. So was that indication to the new talent to raise their game? Was that what?
No, it was just convenience. He happened to be in the building doing something in the studio next door.
Shots fired. He's trying to motivate.
When did Andy Hart
What am I?
Was
he Bailey Zappi?
Where was
that? It always makes for good content to get him in.
Yeah.
Sure.
I hope he's back this year.
What are you doing?
I love Andy.
Well, just give us a warning so we can adjust our volume controls before that.
Well, he always comes in like hot, and then like after 20 minutes he loses his momentum.
He needs
a shot at me.
Yeah.
It's like a little kid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brett, since I haven't had a chance, I don't know when I will have another one. But the last few shows, you've been talking about fans being hopeful. Okay.
Me.
I've been a fan since the Plunkett days. All right. So I've suffered through 2-14, 1-15 seasons. All right. Thinking my team is going to win every single week. All right. I lost money in the freaking '85 Super Bowl.
Ooh.
But let's be realistic about where we are. We are stuck in the messy middle. Okay? This post-Brady period, let's call it, has been fought from the start. All right? Because of something, we all know Paul Perillo was, wrong so many times on a weekly basis. But the one thing he always kept on talking about was that we had the oldest roster at that time. We moved on from Brady. Now, I'm not going to feet still up for moving on from a 40-year-old quarterback. But with the oldest roster, no, we have to get younger. And I don't even see that right now. And if you're talking about hope, well, for this season, let's break down where we are. Let's go through the schedule. Now, I think we need to be a 10-win team to get in the playoffs. Look at the schedule. Eagles, Bills twice, Chiefs 0-4. Let's split with the Jets and Dolphins 2-2. Now we're 2-6. Okay, be a bit more optimistic and be 3-1 against the Cowboys, Giants, Steelers, and Chargers. That's optimistic. Then we got to win out against the Saints, the Broncos, the Raiders, Colts, and Commanders to get to 10.
We're obviously going to have to win a few games that we're underdogs. That's the only way, because we are going to be underdogs in a lot of games. So you're going to have to turn that around.
I don't think anybody
we have to do this.
Yeah.
And if we look at this roster, I came up with a very simple way of looking at teams about if they improve from year to year, right? If we take your 22 starters and, say, 6 other players that are important, your third wide receiver, swing tackle, whatever you want to make those 6, right? And if you think about a starter, gets a second contract, he's in the league for 7 years. So basically 22 plus 6 is 28, 7 years divided by 4. You're replacing 4 players every year, just replacing them, not really getting better. And we had change a tackle, wide receiver, safety. Now you can throw in second running back, second tight end. The guys we brought in, I think that's a wash. We're not getting any better from last year. So,
I don't know.
Give me any kind of reason to think that Bill is actually going to turn this roster over and turn it all to a young
first
team.
of all,
when you have a losing team, the only team the fans will support is a young and up and coming team. They're going to lose. They're going to lose support here, and it's been 3 years.
Well,
so where is the hope coming from here, Fred?
I think the hope comes from that Bill O'Brien is going to make this offense better than it was last year. That the defense the defense wasn't bad last year. The defense continues to get better. This guy Keon White, man, if he comes in and he can help that defensive line, I think you've got something going there. You've got one of the best safety cornerbacks in the draft, and Christian Gonzalez. The defense, I think, can be better than it was last year, and I think we are all assuming that the offense is going to be better than it was last year, just because of O'Brien. And and if that means Mac is, if that helps Mac in his third year, there's hope. I mean, basically, I'm saying that we could see something this season that we haven't seen yet because of just the improvement that Bill O'Brien brings. We haven't seen an offense yet with a quarterback who knows what he's doing. I mean, even in Mac's rookie year, he wasn't that great. He was good for a rookie, but he faded down the line. For him to be better in his third year, he's got to be much better than he was his rookie year. We're not hoping that he goes back to that, but he can be. I think he can. I think there's hope. I think that, I think there's pieces on this offense that haven't played to their potential. And the hope is that they do this year. It could be an utter disaster. It could be. But the hope is that the players they have on offense play to the potential we thought that they had when we signed them.
All right, but Fred, aren't we look at the Bills games? They took their foot off the accelerator at the end of the game. And so you're telling me that the hope basically is instead of losing 35-10, we're going to lose 42-28.
They took their foot off the accelerator because they weren't scared of us scoring. They weren't scared of us
scoring. So now we're going to get better on offense. We'll not score 10 points. We'll score 28 points, but we're still going to lose.
But what if you combine that with the defense getting even better? And what if
just go root for a different team?
What if
what do you want us to say?
If Gonzalez is really good, and what if the pass rush is that much better? They can contain a mobile quarterback, because they have a little bit more speed on defense, and all of a sudden, it's a game. It's a game.
Okay.
So, they need new guys to step up. They need new guys to step up.
Fred, you're telling me we're putting everything on success this year on rookies we have not seen yet. So that's where the hope is coming
and also, like I'm saying that Christian Barmore has a better year than he had last year. Guys that they've already had, step up and play better.
They have to. That's the point. Like, you're right. If every guy on the roster plays exactly like they did last year or worse, they're going to be bad. They're going to be worse. But you hope that with better coaching, and clearly this is what the coaches think, that a better or an actual competent, experienced offensive coordinator is going to put guys in position. I mean, look at last year. It was a mess. They couldn't get plays off. They were not coordinated in any sense of the word. So I know we're putting a lot of eggs in this basket, but I do think it's a significant one based on how bad things were last year.
And Paul, I hear what you're saying, but Bill Parcells would always say that each side of the ball gives the other side hope. So if you're the defense last year,
but
how much hope did you have?
Is anybody selling Paul or anybody else on them being a Super Bowl team? Like, I don't understand where all the like feistiness comes from on the call.
I think he's just mad that they didn't do enough. That he wanted more moves this offseason.
I mean, he's looking at the schedule, which is fair, and saying we're not as good as a lot of these teams in the schedule. Where are the wins going to come from?
None of us can tell him he's wrong. I mean,
that's my point. Though, no one's saying that no one's picking them to finish 14-3.
I choose not to expect them to all of a sudden be but I have hope that these guys improve. But
it's so hard to.
And why else? What's the point of going into the season without hope?
Right. And it's so easy to just say, well, we're going to lose to Kansas City, we're going to lose to Buffalo twice. Like, you don't know. Like, I mean, sure, if you want to take the negative view of it, of course. But what you get to the December. And all of a sudden, quarterback who was a superstar isn't playing because he's hurt. Like, I mean, things just change. You want to get yourself so worked up that they're going to be just as bad and worse last year.
I've heard people, and not people from New England, national people saying, Buffalo's window could be closing, and I've heard that.
Well, sure.
And it's not New England fans saying that. It's national pundits.
I just look at, we were talking about this earlier, Mike, all the games last year, the optimism that I have with the team, I'm not overly optimistic, but the optimism that I have is that there were so many games last year that were winnable. We were talking about it, the Raiders game, the Vikings game, the Bengals game, like just go on down the line of these games where not only did they just lose close games, they lost them in epic fashion in some cases. So
they beat themselves.
If you all of a sudden can turn some of those games, not all of them, you're not going to go completely perfect from going what you were last year to that, but if you can win 50% of the games that you lost that were coin flips last year, then all of a sudden it's a different team. And I think that's where you have to be optimistic, is that as bad as certain things were about that team last year, they were a play away from beating the Bengals. They were a play away from beating the Raiders. They were a play away from beating Minnesota. I mean, Fred and I were there in Minnesota. Fred, if Hunter Henry scores a touchdown there, who the heck knows?
Right,
like that's
right. And he should have.
The whole season might have changed, honestly, because
he actually did score a touchdown.
Right.
They just didn't rule it that way.
Right. So if all of these things, that's what you have to hold your hat on. I think if you're a Patriot fan and you want to be optimistic, is that those were really unorthodox type of losses. That if you can start flipping some of these close games and winning a few of those late, then maybe you have a different football team.
That's now on paper, I would, you can make the argument that this season's schedule's tougher than last season's schedule. And that could be true. But maybe where the Patriots are just a little bit better, And then, like Evan says, you don't make the same mistakes that you did last year. And all of a sudden, instead of 8 wins, you got 10 wins,
I mean, I think my hope is in a precarious spot right now. And, I mean, it just, to Evan's point, what we were talking about upstairs was, and kind of just, I went back, like I said, looked at some of the games. It was just, every time the game was there for the taking, they crapped their pants.
Yeah.
As Evan said, like in epic fashion, like there were so many times in those games where it's like, here's the Ravens game. There it is for the taking. Nelson Aguilar fumbles it. I mean, you ran through the other games. There's just so many games like that. And of course, they're not all going to go the other way. But in some ways, I feel like that's the only real big difference between 2022 and 2021 was like in 2021, they made some of those plays in some of those games,
Right.
So
I go back to the Bengals game. You were down, I think, 20-0 at halftime, right? You got to come all the way back to make it a game late. And then probably your best player on offense fumbles on the 10-yard line to lose the game. Like in the feeling in the stadium in that moment when they were driving was maybe some tepidism just because we've seen them kind of crap down their leg before in this
but
era.
You felt you had the momentum.
Yeah, but if really, I mean, Marcus Jones has a pick 6. It was really one of those games where it felt like all of a sudden everything was going the Patriots way until it didn't. So if Ramondre doesn't fumble at the 10-yard line and you go in and score, then you never know.
Right, and it's just that's where I'm living, though, because I look at a team, and when I think about a team that when you have the opportunity to win the game, you can't do it. And not only can you not do it, you're actually, like, hurting yourself. Like, it wasn't even like they just couldn't do it. They fell short. It was like, no, they actually, like, had major brain farts that cost them the game. And so I guess my question of where my hope is right now is, can Bill O'Brien wipe that all away and get this as a team that has that laser focus that when the game is on the line and there for the taking, that they're able to play at their absolute peak level. And I don't know that they can get, like, I have real concerns that energy isn't easily gotten back just by swapping out the offensive coordinator. And all right, now we understand what the plan is on offense. Now we can get behind this playbook that you're trying to run. That's where I'm like a little precarious. We got to get out there and see it.
Because that's often the times, I think a lot of people make a lot out of, myself included, roster talent, right? And just, do you have a better team on paper than the team that you're going against? But unless you're a really, really bad team, like a team that's going to win 2 or 3 games, a lot of the times what separates the good teams from the teams that are 8 and 9 are just these little things in the margins. It's close games. It's finishing late. It's stopping Derek Carr going down the field instead of giving up a touchdown drive, and then Jacoby Myers never happens, right? It's Ramondre Stevenson not fumbling. It's these little things like that that often separate from you going 10-7 in an 8 and 9.
Penalties destroying drives.
Yeah.
Spee in Fresno says hope. There's only so much Billy O can spackle over. Contrary to the earlier email about this being the most exciting time to be a Patriots fan, I find this a pretty rough time. The offense seems like a house of cards. Mack is a non-versatile pocket passer who throws slow and needs everything perfect. The O-line has a new coach, unproven players, with Onwenu coming off an ankle surgery, and as Mike might say, there's the Ferenc of it all. And Joe Judge is still lurking in the background waiting to ruin something. Too many things could easily go wrong.
I mean,
that's one way of looking at it.
That's always one way to look at it. And then you
not
could
surprised
say,
it was from Speed.
But there's also Christian Barmore's going to have a bounce back year and have that breakout year that we thought he was going to have, like Fred said, and Keon White's going to be a great compliment to him. And even just watching some of the games from last year, the lack of Christian Gonzalez, like, he already to me just makes your secondary better, like, just by how he moves, just the ability.
Well, and he gives you and then assuming everyone's healthy, people can play in the right positions. It's a domino effect. He's your outside guy there, and so he allows people to start playing where they should play. Because they didn't really have that last year.
There's a lot of, because I think we work for the team, let's be honest. So I think a lot of people think, oh, your optimism is pom-pom waving or whatever. But there's a lot of national people, like Fred was saying about the Bills, that look at this Patriots defense and are like, this was already a top 5 defense statistically last year. And I like some of the pieces that they brought in. Mina Kimes was tweeting about it yesterday. Like, oh, you guys realize that the Patriots defense last year was pretty much top 5 in every efficiency metric as it is, and now they bring in a Christian Gonzalez and they bring in Keon White and maybe Marty Mapp, who contributes this year, maybe he doesn't, but the point being is that was already a pretty good defense on paper already, and now they bring in these rookies, and I get that the rookies haven't played at all, but it's the rookies are icing on the cake. They're cherries on top. The defense was already pretty solid even without them.
And I expect the Keon White will be better than Daniel Ekuale as their second interior pass rush kind of guy. So I don't think it's crazy to think that they'd improve. I just think the defense's problem was the same thing that I just talked about. When they had a chance to close the game out, when they have a chance to win it, they didn't do it. So it's kind of that recurring theme for this whole team, and it's not an easy fix of, we just got to get all new players. Like, you just can't do it like that. But I totally get the people calling in saying, on paper, personnel-wise, it doesn't look like they did enough. And I totally understand that. Yep. I just think you have to respect Bill O'Brien and at least give it a chance to see what it looks like. Because we got out there in the spring last year, and you could tell early on that, and I didn't want to believe it. Like, I'm like, everyone's making a big deal out of this. Let's just wait and see. But it was true. It was true. Those struggles were evident from day one.
Disaster from day one.
John writes in, I'm surprised Evan believes the Patriots will go 8-9 because he thinks the Patriots will have an elite defense along with a solid offense. My personal opinion is the Patriots defense will be top 5 along with a top 15 to top 12 offense. I believe the Patriots will win 10 games. Those wins will come in weeks 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 13, 14, 16, and 18.
Got it.
I don't know if I think the offense is going to be good yet. I think the offense will be more competent, which I
Less
think
self-inflicted
right,
nonsense.
which I think helps you from just a baseline standpoint of hopefully all the things we just rattled off don't happen. So maybe you win some of those closer games. Maybe you, when you need that drive late in the game, maybe it's better orchestrated by Bill O'Brien, and you've practiced that situation a little bit more, and you have a little bit better idea of it. But I think they're going to be really good on defense. I'm not ready to say elite because everybody gets triggered by the word elite. Oh,
it's only Joe Flacco. Was
right.
elite.
So I'm not going to say the word elite. I think they're going to be a really good defense. I think that they will be a competent offense, and I think it comes down to Mac Jones.
Yeah.
If Mac Jones takes a leap and Mac Jones goes from being a average to below average to a good quarterback in the NFL, then yeah, they could win 10 games.
That was another thing watching some of these games, just going back. It was like there was just a smattering of play calls where you're like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like offensive play calls where I've never seen anything like that they were just trying something stupid that like totally. I mean, what was the one? I'm forgetting now. It might have been a 2-point conversion against Baltimore, I think, where Mac had tried to like Ramondre tried to like run it in. They tried to do something sneaky with Ramondre. Then then Mac got it, and Mac was trying to run it. I mean, just there are a lot of that stuff last year. I don't think you'll see it this year.
We talked about it there at the time. It felt like they were just randomly picking plays out of a hat. Like now we're just gonna
string them together.
Now we're just gonna do this, and now we're gonna do that. And there's no sequencing. There was no like, oh, we did this earlier, so we're gonna complement this piece of it by doing that. There was none of that. So that's what you hope you get back.
That's like what. And then I mean, I give Josh a compliment. Bill O'Brien is cunning. Like he sees what he wants to do. He can set things up. He can put you in unwinnable positions. And I do wonder about, Bill Belichick obviously knows football offense. And, just what was he seeing last year? Like, what was, how frustrating was it for him? Because I imagine, like, the play calls to him probably seemed okay, right? Like, they're not calling plays that he doesn't believe in, but was there enough, like, to your point, of that setting things up and knowing how to put guys in position? It was just like, now we're going to do this, and now we're going to do this. And it didn't feel like it had purpose.
Like, individually, the play calls, the designs of the plays might have been sound, but they had nothing to do with each other. There was no system, and like that's how you build offense, is just having that. In defense too, just having like a baseline, a foundation of this is what we do, and everything branches off of what we do. And then there was obviously issues within the details, route running and reads and timing and all that kind of stuff too. But from a schematic perspective, it just felt like they were trying to play the hits from like every single, now we're going to run outside zone. Now we're going to run gap. Now we're going to run this play. Now we're going to run that
our
play.
Our identity is we can do everything.
Right, and that was never going to work.
Let's see. George in Maryland says, I personally think this Rodgers Jets thing is overblown. He's washed. Zappe took him to overtime last year with no offensive coordinator in Green Bay, and now he's in New York with Nathaniel as his offensive coordinator. What am I missing here?
Well, I think he got better at the end of the year when he started to find a little bit of rhythm with that offense. But for me, you very well might be right, and I think it just goes back to Paul's point of they've got some good talent there. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he needs to play at an MVP level for them to potentially be better than the Patriots. I think he just needs to be able to manage the team and get the ball. But they've got a nice mix of young guys and guys that he's played with, and I think just the offensive line will be the question, and if they can protect him and keep him healthy.
That would be one thing I'd worry about. Like, is he going to be too reliant on like Allen Lazard?
Right.
Because like it's his guy.
He doesn't want to throw to Garrett Wilson because he's like, well,
I don't think it would be like if you don't throw to Garrett Wilson, you're an idiot, right? Like that's on you. But it's like some of like the other pieces that they have there, and I don't know. He just seems like such a head case to me that it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up phasing somebody out that shouldn't be phased out.
I can only hope for the worst. Willem and Philem. What's up, William?
Hey, Fred. How you doing?
All right.
I have so many things I want to say, but I'm have to just piggyback off what the caller said. So that just knocked off what I want to say. Basically, I'm with that call at the same time too. I'm here. I'm looking at the roster too, Fred, and I mean I have it in front of me. I'm looking at the roster, the schedule, and I'm just like everything y'all just said is everything seems like it's based off of what if Keon White does this? What if Tyquan Thornton does that? And what if Bill O'Brien is this, that, and the third and all? And I'm sitting here like, this is where we at now at this point.
Yes, William, that is where we are. We're a team that hasn't been that good. So the first year that we are good, things are going to have to happen that haven't happened yet. So yeah, that's where we are. But that's the only way we're gonna the guys are going to have to get better. Like, yeah, maybe we can draft the next Tom Brady, but that ain't happening like in the near future. So in order to get good, guys that they've signed are going to have to play to their potential. Young guys that they drafted are going to have to play well, and that's how they're going to get better. It hasn't happened yet. So you can't say, we've seen it, so it will happen. No, it's based on hope. You know,
it's just I just don't want to see this team take like 4 steps back again. I don't want to see that.
Absolutely, no, you don't want that. But you're hoping that when you draft Christian Gonzalez and Keon White, that's not stepping back. That's building for the future.
A step forward.
But it's hope. Yes. You don't know. Christian Gonzalez could be
Rebellions
a bust.
are built on hope. If I heard.
Yeah, but that's it.
See, Fred, that's why I like you, Fred. You know what I mean? You keep me on the positive side.
Look, it's sports. I know.
I want William. How old are you? Just curious.
Unknown. We're gonna leave that unknown.
Unknown. I'm gonna because I'm wearing this myself too. Like my 30 and under, like my age, we haven't been through a rebuild. Like we've never experienced this before. Right? Like I think a lot, and even people that are older than me, I think forget. Right, like we just had the caller call in that said he's been a fan since Jim Plunkett. Like, so you don't remember what it was like to be a mediocre team, like that. Like that.
Yeah, worse than mediocre, man.
You're right. Like I just that I think is interesting. That I do feel like, guess what? Like, yes, you are like everybody else. Like you do have to hit on your draft picks, and you do have to hope things end up being good instead of bad. And like that's just the way that life is when you don't have Tom Brady.
Right. Right.
Richard Seymour and Ty Law and
Gronk. Understood.
Yeah, I mean, we got...
Just one more thing.
Yeah,
just one more thing. I said, look, I know I call up there sometimes, and this is not so much towards you, Fred, but it's towards really Evan and Deuce. I know I'll be busting y'all chops sometimes.
No, you're great.
Just know, y'all okay with me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I might not agree with everything
you're a great caller,
said, but
all good, man.
An excellent job.
Oh, no. William, you've had some of the best calls.
Yeah, we love it. You bring great energy to the show, and you yell at us sometime, and that makes me sad. No.
I appreciate people like William that call in all the time.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Thank you, William. One more call, and then I got to go to the bathroom. Tina's in Indiana. What's up, Tina?
Guys.
Nothing much. How are you guys doing?
Okay.
Good. Listen, I just wanted to have a shout out for the one email you read on Tuesday. I think more women should write in and call in.
Yeah.
It made me feel good. But my thing is that I have learned so much from you guys listening to your podcast. Now I can watch a game and go, they're in cover 2.
Paul can't.
So thank you so much for all your teaching points. I appreciate it. But my thing is, you kind of stole on my thunder, what we were just talking about. But you got to have hope.
Right.
Have hope.
Right.
You have nothing. Like I go to the Colts game because to see the other teams, basically.
Yeah.
But I went to see them play Kansas City last year. They won.
Right.
I mean, you just don't know. I thought they were going to get their butts handed to them, and they didn't. So I just want to tell everybody out there, we're going to get a couple. We're going to be fine.
Right.
And just keep rooting for them.
And
so
Tina,
thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Tina. Here's where you don't have hope. When your ownership or top management are a bunch of idiots. That's when you don't have hope, because you just know they're going to screw it up. We don't have to worry about that here. I mean, Robert Kraft wants to win more than we do, and he ain't going to stop demanding that until it happens. So that gives you hope too. But when you have incompetent management, then it trickles down, and then I can understand losing hope. But we don't have to worry about that here.
You're so right. And I mean, I don't need to name teams, but if you have an owner that doesn't really want to win and just wants to kind of make money, and you feel like, hey, even when we actually do hit on these draft picks, that it's not really going to matter because they're not going to stay here anyway because this guy's not going to pay anybody.
The owner of the Boston Red Sox.
or you look at the Detroit Lions for years. Like, the owners were kind of hands off.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put Matt Millen as the GM, and he's a disaster, and they just won't change it because he's a nice guy. They like him. And they don't want to fire him. And so, like, you're a Lion fan, and it's like, what are we doing? We've got to do something, and that makes you lose hope, you know?
I mean, we're still connected to, the last 20 years, but I have full confidence in, everything that the Crafts have done for this team, for this area. I mean, I've said it 100 times when I grew up. That stadium was the scariest place on earth to me,
right.
And now it's a place that you bring your kids, and I mean it's just a center to this whole area. So,
and it's no coincidence that tomorrow is payday.
Hopefully that'll still come through. But I mean, everything aside, and even working here, I mean, it's just like that to me. Everything he's done for this area, and I know how much he loves this team, and I know how much Jonathan loves this team, and I know that when it does come time to move past Bill, that they're going to have high expectations still. And
they've never said it, but the record of the team is a reflection on them. They believe that. So, like, if you're 8-9, they're 8-9. They don't like that. They don't like that.
And I think that's what people forget. And I mean, you're using the Crafts as the example, which of course is true. But I mean. Like, Bill wants to win too. I know in his heart, like it isn't always the way we want it to be, and it's prickly, and sometimes it feels like he's got a middle finger.
That's the pushback that I'll have with you on this, because me with Bill right now. He's on my radar. The biggest thing with Bill is, does he want to win at all costs still, or does he want to win his way? Because the way that where I think a lot of trying to kind of put into perspective what people's frustrations are. Or is that this feels like a team that is going to have to win, being fundamentally sound in all three phases and not beating themselves, probably above average to really, really good on defense, and have like an offense that can manage the game, and then win in the kicking game. And I've heard a lot of like, oh, well, like this is kind of, 2001 was kind of like that, right? Where you have like a quarterback that doesn't beat himself, and it's okay, but does that win at a high level anymore
in today's game?
Is that going to be good enough if they are serviceable on offense and not beating themselves on offense, really, really good on defense, and they have that advantage on special teams? Does that still hold as much weight as it did 20 years ago?
And how long are you willing to not win to prove yourself right?
Right. Because if Bill wants to win at all costs, if that's like what the mantra is, then he would have traded for Jerry Jeudy or traded for DeAndre Hopkins, or done a couple of bigger splashes
unless
on
he
offense.
truly believes that that's not going to do it. I don't know.
I think he does truly believe
I'll be
that.
right back. I'll be quick.
Well,
I think he does truly believe that. I think he does still truly believe that you don't need to light up the scoreboard to win like everybody else thinks that you do, or not everybody else, but a lot of people do. But the question is he right still?
Well,
is he correct?
Well, I mean, and do you think that I mean, people, do you think asking a 70-year-old at the top of his game who has been at the absolute pinnacle that you have to change your whole philosophy now if you really want to win? And I'm not, I'm obviously, I agree with what you're saying. I think he thinks he's right. I think that he's 100% sure that football is a cyclical game and things come back around. And yes, right now all the rage is high scoring offenses. And and then Paul, this is probably where Paul would chime in with something like, we always need to be smarter than everybody else. But I think that's how he views it, and we can talk about what I think the bottom line for me is that it absolutely crushes him every time this football team loses.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
And we can talk about how he can do it. And we can say, yes, I do expect an old coach, if he wants to stay in the league and continue to be successful, that you have to. But I also think that he would feel like, I'm just kind of following a fad right now instead of trying to, put my stamp on it and do it my way. And, this is, again, you're dealing with somebody, though, who is like the pinnacle of his profession. So it's hard to, go to anybody in any profession and say, I know this has been great, and you're probably the greatest of all time to ever do this, but it's not working right now. You've got to change. That's a huge thing. Like,
yeah, I think that
to do. And I mean, I'm
defensively, I think that he has evolved and they're as good as ever on defense. I honestly believe that. I think that it's offensively, and it's like from a team building philosophy standpoint, and I know it's the college game versus the pro game, so it's different, but I keep going back to, I think it was like 2016 that Nick Saban said at a press conference, good defense isn't good enough anymore. Like, you can't win like that anymore. And that's when Alabama started recruiting all of the wide receivers, right? And they became wide receiver U overnight. And they became a school that had quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Alabama never had quarterbacks drafted in the first round until Tua and Mac Jones. And then obviously Jalen Hurts, the second round pick. But all these guys start to come through, and now they're top picks. Bryce Young's the number 1 overall pick at quarterback out of Alabama. That wasn't the case 15 years
even with
ago.
Physical questions
right.
too, which
like
is they
were starting like guys like what's the guy that's now on ESPN that does college football for the broadcast? I don't know.
I know what you're talking about. The girlfriend. That caused a stir.
Right.
Kirk Herbstreit?
No, it's on the tip of my tongue. I know
but you know who I'm talking about. AJ McCarron of the world,
there
right? Like they were starting those types of quarterbacks, and now all of a sudden they evolved.
It still feels like we're starting the AJ McCarrons of the world.
Right, and I just wonder at what point, like, who is it Saban? Is it somebody else that maybe does get through to Bill to be a little bit more offensive focused and a little bit more high powered in that regard?
The only difference I would say between what Saban is saying, which true, you just look at college and the pros, is that you got to pay these guys in the pros. So when you get Jerry Jeudy, you got to pay him. Now college is starting to get that way, but the school doesn't have to. They get everybody else to pay them,
It's just ridiculous when you look at, because there was a really clear line of demarcation with Alabama where that switch flipped in Saban's brain. Like, we have to light up the scoreboard. Like, if we're going to win, we have to do this. And all of a sudden, they had wide receiver rooms that were ridiculous. Just like Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, all in the same wide receiver room. And because they realized that, all right, we have to put up points. Yeah. There's no other way to do this.
Joshua in Irvine says, I'd just like to say I believe this team has a rock-bottom floor of 8 wins, and we have a really good shot at 11. In 2015 to 19, the Patriots went from going all in to maximize Brady's window, and we have spent the last 3-ish years cleaning house, getting rid of contracts, and building a good staff again after all we lost. Please, to the fans listening in, please chill out and give this team a chance. The constant crying and complaining into the show gets tiring. Take a 500-foot bird's-eye view of the last 8 or so years, and especially the circumstances after Brady left. The Patriots are far from being in a bad position. We could be much better, yes, but we're not the Jets, we're not the Commanders, and we're not the Texans, etc.
Yeah, I just go back to Bill for a second. For me, I put, like, I know we're talking kind of schematic evolution.
Yeah.
I also I put so much weight on the missed drafts. Like, and we talked about Keene and Azzy. Like, I think that they have messed up those drafts to epic degree. And I think to a large degree, like what you said, overcoming it was, it's almost a feather in the cap of, like, this is an 8-9 team with an offense that doesn't even know what they're doing out there. So to me, I just think that that's something that I continue to harp on. It's just the drafts. And if these young kids start to play and like William called in, if these guys start to play and elevate, and Marcus Jones, and like, this is how you get out of the basement. Like, there's not like, well, this offseason we bought a whole new team. We went out and just signed 53 free agents, and we rebuilt from, and now we have, like, it just doesn't work that way.
I mean, even the Rams, who they've done that, they but they also drafted really well.
They hit on when they have a first-round pick, they pick Aaron Donald, and when they're taking flyers, they get Cooper Kupp. Like those. They just the Patriots haven't had those picks. And, if you'd taken Gronk and Edelman out of the equation, if you took Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower out of the equation, they wouldn't have had 3 more Super Bowls. Like, they drafted well in that kind of in-between period. Yeah. And they were able to restock.
It just, last year, just holds such a weight on this team because I think a big reason why, we all wanted the number one wide receiver trade. Like, we all wanted it. We wanted Jerry Jeudy. I was lukewarm on Hopkins. Some people might be higher on that type of move at his age than others. But that move would have made sense. That's always the cherry on top, right? When you have everything else, like you feel like everything else is in a good enough place that you can compete at a high level, and then you drop A.J. Brown in, and you drop Stephon Diggs in, and you drop players of that caliber in. But the Patriots, because they went backwards last year, this offseason it still feels like they're still building up to that point. And the bummer that I think is, to be a little bit pessimistic, is that now the Mac Jones window on the rookie contract is closing.
We've got to figure Mac Jones out.
Right.
We've got to figure out at the end, by the end of the season, we need to know. We need to know if he's the guy. Howard writes in from Connecticut. He says, God, I hate fans like Paul and Spee. Look, I get they're entitled to their opinions, but come on, why even be a fan if that is your view of the team? Well, who ever said Paul's a fan?
Yeah, didn't sound like it.
I've been a fan since Jim Plunkett was the QB and view each year as new and exciting. Specific to this year, you have to believe that the O is going to be dramatically better with real coaching and an influx of talent. Not sure what the influx of talent is, but anyway. D will be better with new talent and speed, and they can now contend with and contain those high-power offenses. Well, that's a wait and see. I get that they are most likely not winning or even making the AFC Championship or Super Bowl, but you never know. I expect them to go 10-7, and with a little luck, 11-6. Games are won by a handful of plays. Last year, those plays went against the Patriots. Maybe this year, with the new talent and coaching, they bounce the Patriots' way. Who really knows? But damn, the negativity from Patriots fans is draining and sad. Look at the Jets. Haven't won anything, and he didn't use that word, since 1969. And yet their fans think every year is the year. The negative New England fans are, in my honest opinion, ridiculous and sad. Why even bother rooting for the team, then go root for another team?
Okay. Well, yeah. I wouldn't go that far because I'm not going to tell people who to root for, but I do understand that the fan base, some people in the fan base want this to just be what it was, with Brady overnight
in perpetuity,
right? Like, and just like that's just not, like you said, in perpetuity. Like, that's not realistic. Like, welcome to the reality. Like, this is what it's like to be a realistic football fan. Is that your team is not. We're not just talking about the waltz to the AFC Championship game every year.
Right. I know. It's funny as I think of like where we are, and every team's in a different spot, but I just imagine like, kind of where Buffalo is right now, of like, you feel like, look, we got the guy, we got the pieces. You can maybe see some cracks, like Von Miller's coming back, but he's old. You just lost the linebacker. It's so hard to keep it together. And like, as much as it's just a common refrain now. Well, Bill had Tom Brady the whole time. Like, all right, well, Tom Brady's a great quarterback, but there have been other great quarterbacks that aren't 20-year contenders consistently in year in and year out. And that, I think, was a testament to the drafts that they had, and
the whole
that
program.
ability to continue keeping it going. And yes, Brady is awesome and was certainly a huge part of it. But look at Aaron Rodgers and the ups and downs of his careers and the bad years that he had. Bill does deserve some of that credit, but
deserves a lot of the credit.
That's where you get back now.
Yeah, sure.
Get back on that train of drafting those star players.
I love Buffalo. I love watching their fan base on Twitter and stuff like that. So the big thing in Buffalo right now is, what is Dalton Kincaid? Is he a tight end? Is he a slot receiver?
Salivating,
and because a large part of their fan base thinks that they needed a wide receiver, and they drafted a tight end. But then the people that think they're smarter than everybody, well, he is a slot receiver. He's just in a tight end, but it's just great. They're imploding from the inside.
Jackin says, I was a fan of Detroit until the Lions extended Matt Millen's contract as general manager after Millen had just presided over the worst 5 years in the history of the league. In response, I did something. I became a Patriots fan. There you go. Well, welcome to the club.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's that's where I was at when things were humming here. It was just, all right, we could just, how do we get, but when you've never gotten over, like, you started this whole dynasty run with a win. So you already had gotten there once. So it was always just a matter of getting back. But for a team like Buffalo, where it's just like you have to get one, right? Like you got to get a Super Bowl with Josh Allen, and every year, and even we saw it with Brady, it's like every year has its own challenges and weird stuff.
It could be Dan Marino,
right?
Like you just never know if you're Buffalo.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just love making fun of Buffalo.
Let's get to the Ace Ticket Hotline. Eldred's on the phone. What's up, Eldred?
There it is.
Oh.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
Hey, Eldred.
Just caused a 10-car crash. What's up?
No, I ain't caused no car crash yet. Came close a couple times, but not yet.
I was driving down 495 yesterday, and there was like a fire in the median. You know, like the foresty strip between the. There was like a fire going on.
Nobody
Police
out there.
were there and
Yeah.
everything. Fire department, yeah.
Controlled burn.
Anyway, go ahead, Eldred. I'm sure you've seen your things over the years.
I wanna address that last emailer. Wimpy New England fans because they're mad because they're losing or they wimpy and they crying. Well, hell, I'm one of them. Okay. And I've been a fan since Steve Grogan's heroes. Irvin Fryer, Sam Bam Cunningham, all of them.
Okay.
You know, but my problem is what Evan was talking about earlier is Bill. You know, he don't see it the way it used to be, like it is changing. He still think it's back in the 90s, and you really can't win that way. You know, you're gonna need that number one guy or some talent. And then the draft, what you said you missed on Deuce. Well, some of the guys that you drafted that you are homegrown, whatever, you didn't give them the second contract. You know, like, well, when you coming up, ooch, there's supposed to be some of your core. Yep. But you let them go to another team. And then when you do sign them, you trade them. And that's demoralizing the team. That's one thing that gets me frustrated the most with Bill, the GM part.
Yeah.
Coach, love him. GM, I can't stand his butt.
Yeah.
I'm with Eldred 100% on the 2020 draft class, guys. You finally hit on some players in the draft after such a long period of time where you had a rut. And, yeah, Josh Uche might only be like a situational type player here.
But he's our situational player.
But he's fantastic at his thing, right? Yeah. Like he's a really an elite pass rusher. He's a top end talent at that position in that role. And Kyle Duggar should never wear another uniform. Like
exactly.
Kyle Duggar should be here for the next 4 years, just like he was here for the first 4. And those are the type of guys that you got to re-sign. Oh, anyway, I like, but he's a guard. So if you want to let go of the guard, then and that's where you're going to cut costs, and I can live with it. But Duggar and Uche are two guys that you should re-sign.
Right, and it's hard on the heels of the 2019 draft that was an offer.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But that's my biggest gripe with Bill. He just, he think it's still back. It's him. And like I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care if somebody get mad at me or not. I'm going to have this out on the Facebook, Patriots Unfiltered. If he didn't have Tom Brady, he'd be just like Cleveland. He'd be out.
Well,
and I'm still going to say that.
All right.
Okay. Proof's in the pudding.
All right, Eldred.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, Eldred. Keep on trucking.
Eldred was out on Bill in like 2016. They were hosting the Lombardi.
Actually, that is a good question when he was out on him. It's funny because I came in when it was already kind
of. Paul writes in, I just thought you might find this humorous. Antonio Brown has recently purchased the local Albany Empire Arena football team.
Oh, dear God.
His father, touchdown Eddie Brown, played for the Albany team 20 years ago and still lives in the area. Since purchasing the team a few months ago, he has been through 3 head coaches. Keep in mind the team won the championship the last 2 seasons. He named his father the GM. He's been accused of stiffing the team dinner bill at a local restaurant. He was involved in an altercation with security guards at his own arena. There was a fist fight on the team bus, and he showed up uninvited at my son's local high school to promote the team on TikTok. Apparently, he plans to actually play for the team this weekend. Here's hoping it doesn't go any better.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown.
Where
were you when they signed Antonio Brown here with the Patriots, Evan? That was like a what?
The man needs some therapy.
Yeah.
He needs.
I think he's beyond help.
I'm worried about John Morant in the same way.
You gotta just put the guns away, man. What the hell is going on?
Yeah. Quick game. Where did I go to college? Patriots version. Ray Agnew.
Way before my time.
Wake Forest.
North Carolina State.
Okay, close enough.
Max Lane. Come on now. He didn't finish.
Iowa? I don't know.
Navy.
Oh.
Bobby Hamilton. No.
Okay, Paul's not here.
Southern Miss. All right, so these are all right. A little bit more recent. Heath Evans.
Clemson?
Auburn.
Auburn.
Yeah.
I was close.
Matthew Slater.
UCLA.
Okay, and then one more old guy, but maybe you know, Steve Grogan.
Oh. Is that like a weird one? It's
No.
Like,
No. Kansas State.
No, I should have known that one. I knew that. Bad deuce.
Let's see. Jake writes in from Australia.
G'day, mate.
Trust us to lose 2 days of OTAs for reasons that aren't available yet, but since then they've come out. Just wondering if now O'Brien is in, whom we trust to save us. Do we now say that Bill O'Brien we trust, or in Teapot we trust? As we can't say Bill because that gives too much credit to BB. Okay, so in other words, how do we phrase it?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to see some wins. I want to see some wins over some good teams, and like I don't care. I'll give credit afterwards. I mean, if the offense is all of a sudden like lighting it up, I'll be like, in Bill O'Brien we trust. But if it's still kind of the same thing and the defense is shutting them down, and then it's opportunistic at the end and pull it out like an old fashioned, then all right, in Bill we trust.
Also, I'm expecting my second child in the next couple of weeks, and we're stuck for names. Any suggestions from the legends on board today?
I don't know. Naming kids is tough.
Well, don't name your kid a name for like a child name. You know what I mean? Like Cody and like
Cody.
We got a lot of Cody's fans.
No, I know, but like
poor Cody Davis.
Assume that your child's going to become a man or a woman someday, and don't name.
Well, that's like
name them something that only applies to a kid in grade school.
You just go straight to Jack. You know, there's a lot of that's like he's Jack, and he's like a 4-year-old.
Give him a name that he can live with.
I mean, my kids are Tyson and Campbell. We wanted things that weren't like very common, but weren't like really off the beaten path. So like we went with American food companies for whatever reason.
Okay.
But
I do call him Campbell Soup.
I know that's
pretty
soupy.
I didn't think I'm not going to call him like Tyson chicken fingers.
Tyson
like
chicken. What
chicken. Chicken.
You got a new Jason in your life.
We have a Jason. Yeah. So my sister's name is Jackie, and her husband's name is James. Congratulations to the parents. 6 pounds 6 ounces, 20 inches long,
66.
which is so he's built like my sister's husband's family. We are not skinny and tall people.
And I think there's something to be said about naming your kid somebody from your family.
Yeah.
Giving honor to somebody.
Yeah, so Jason's named after my great uncle Jerry.
Yeah,
and
I think there's something to that.
That's nice. Yeah, and then his middle name is Carter. Which is after James's mother.
But I'm going to name our daughter Zoe because she's going to be a free spirit. And she's also going to be a woman someday. You
got to get some more Freds. We need some little Freds out there. There aren't a lot of little Freddies out there anymore.
Fred's the guy next door.
I think it's coming around.
Yeah, I can understand why someone wouldn't name their.
But that'd be
kid
cute.
Fred.
I feel like it's coming. Like now you'd see a little baby. Well, what's his name? This is Freddie. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's like Gertrudes and things like that.
My mother wouldn't let any of my friends call me Freddie.
No,
no.
He had to be Frederick.
Yeah. So Jason, Jackie, James. So they kept with the J's, which I like.
Oh, we're still going with this.
I pushed Julian. I wanted Julian. Didn't get that.
We're still trying. And then there's a J.
Too many J's.
Yeah. Some of those families, they have like 10 kids, and every kid's first letter is the same.
You're like the Kardashians. Have all kids.
Bobby, Billy, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Goodwill Hunting thing.
Oh yeah.
Bobby, Bicky. Or the other one good one is in Ted with the trying to name.
Yeah, the Boston Girls.
With the suit.
Yeah.
Is it 2 names?
Yeah.
That's my other favorite.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, one more email. Spee again. He says, "I'm so sorry that deludedly positive emailer is having such a bad day. The hate is mutual. Listener on listener crime is a cherished tradition."
Oh, there it is.
We love it.
We do love it.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up for this Memorial Day weekend show.
Catch 22.
Hope everybody has a good weekend. Catch 22 is coming up at their regular time because we lost an OTA. So Alex is here. They will dive into more J names on the next show. So stay tuned for Catch 22 right now.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original